Should we organize these? Do they look like shit like that, Bri?
It's kind of fun. It's like, little wabi-sabi.
Confetti. Ooh, wabi-sabi. I love that. Let's talk more about wabi-sabi.
What is wabi-sabi?
Ooh, we could talk about that. Wabi-sabi, let's say you drop your favorite mug and it breaks, yet it's still fixable. So instead of fixing it with like invisible glue, you fix it with golden glue so that it shows the imperfection. It shows where it was.
And it's like a fucking, in Japan, that's like, it's so much cooler and
there's
like
perfection in the imperfection.
Yeah, and they used to do it with real gold, right?
Yeah, when there's a story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a knucklehead for sale the other day that was decent, a decent price. I'm like, huh. And you start scrolling through the pictures, like, oh, okay.
What?
Well, there's like a scar all the way up around the whole case. It must have been like, if you would have stretched it out, it was probably 20 inches long, half-inch thick.
So what? It was in an accident?
Well, they're known for blowing up, breaking cases.
Are we ready?
Yes.
It's been a while.
How long?
It's been 3 weeks. Yes, since our last podcast. We are now on number 25, 26.
I hope not. I hope that you never get that right. I feel like you're getting closer.
It's not hard to have that as a goal if that's one of your wishes, one of your hopes.
Maybe I should hope that you should get somebody's name right.
Welcome to the Mama Tried Flat Out Friday bi-weekly, semi-weekly podcast. It's late midwinter. We have a special guest we'll get to in just a second. Before we begin, I've always got to remind people to like, share, hit the bell, and please comment on our discussion.
How are we doing? Has anybody looked at how this is going? Is this bullshit and we should stop, or is it doing something?
I'll say that our numbers are really inconsistent with what people want to watch. JJ crushed it.
Why is that inconsistent? Everybody loves JJ.
Well, maybe Chuck not so much. I thought Chuck was a decent interview and it wasn't heard. Maybe
JJ has a lot more people behind him in his corner wanting to see what he's got going on, and we need to get more people in Chuck's corner.
Chuck has a lot of people in his corner. We just got to connect them. We just got to show them, get them connected.
Maybe his people just don't know how to use YouTube.
That's true too. That's true too. Well, we're glad that we did an interview with Chuck, and we're glad that he's going to be at the next event.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, before we begin, however, I want to do a little housekeeping. Is that okay with you, special guest?
Oh, please.
One thing I want to highlight, Warren, and correct me where I'm wrong here. I don't know if we've hammered home this idea that Mama Tried and Flat Out Friday, we're just normal dudes. We're not a corporation. We're just normal dudes. We rented these giant venues in the city of Milwaukee, and this is as DIY as an event could possibly get.
Yeah, if you were to pull the curtain away, and there's you hear people talking when you're in some vicinities where you're like, it sounds like we have a giant 30-person organization that creates this, and we have an offices and payrolls, and we're making shitloads of money, and it's not that way, but it's kind of designed to not be that way, right? It's not fun.
For sure. But I think that this is our charm of why you should come see this. This is as DIY, this is as non-corporate as it can be. We're renting the Fiserv, and people are complaining, or, it's not, actually, people don't complain, but people are hesitant to maybe buy tickets to our event, but yet they would drop tickets to see Post Malone or for something that's a corporate event.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple angles to that too, Brock. It's not that they want to see or think that a Post Malone show is of better quality. It's just that it's probably marketed better and a lot more people know about it. And Post Malone is quite a bit different than Flat Out Friday.
Is it?
We're trying to climb to that level.
All right. Well, I just wanted to know that I think our greatest asset is our charm and who we are as humans.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I wanted to come across. That if you're on the fence about going to this event, know that this is the party that you're going to see.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good sell.
Well, just be ready to be ready to be surprised. You know, it's like when I say it a lot when folks turn their nose to Milwaukee. You know, why would I want to go to Milwaukee in the winter? And they show up, and then they come back every year.
Yes.
You know, it's a welcome surprise, and it's a little bit of a well kept secret, and it has you know, it kind of feels better that way.
Thank you for helping me chew and digest that bit of an idea that I had. Let me go to the next point. I want to get into some more hard facts, if you will. I don't know if you know this or not, Warren, that Flat Out Friday weekend starts on Valentine's Day, the 14th of November.
That's Tuesday,
February.
isn't it?
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes. We are inching further towards the weekend in the other direction. Tuesday, first race of the Boonie Bike World Series.
Yeah, and it promises.
At Promises.
The world's smallest
indoor racetrack.
Indoor racetrack.
So come on out Tuesday, the 14th of February.
I heard
Promises.
that there's crowd participation going to be happening.
Oh,
there.
absolutely. There'll be crowd participation in the world's smallest
Bring gloves,
indoor
maybe?
track. Bring a jacket. Bring gloves.
Safety glasses?
Yeah. Protect yourself.
And always, it's Valentine's Day.
And always, yes. Then of course, Wednesday we have our event at Elwood's. Thursday is at the Harley-Davidson Museum. Thursday after that is a great party at Fuel, always the place to be if you want to grab some content yourself, some great optics and content for yourself organically. And of course, Flat Out Friday and Mama Tried start on the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Yeah, post parties galore, right? Saturday or Friday night is going to be a post party. Saturday night, Iron Horse Hotel. Prior to that, we have Kochansky's Concertina. It's packed full of fun.
I hadn't heard that yet.
No?
I'm excited.
Oh, you didn't make it last year then?
No, I didn't. I was at a
Damn
different
Have you ever
party.
been to Kochansky's Polka Bar?
I have.
Oh, you have?
I love polka.
Yeah. Let's talk about that in just a second. Warren, we're supposed to cap the evening, and I get some questions about the ice race.
Sure.
I'm going to guess that my philosophy is the same as your philosophy on what to do with the ice race. But what's going on? How does one sign up, Warren?
Well, I think sign up is a little too deep to think about it, right? Why don't we just, how do we show up? Where is it? You know, and it's always a TBD, right? We have no idea what the ice is going to do and where it's going to be. So just be ready. Mm-hmm. Word will spread, and actively listen, and I think you'll figure it out.
Is there ice available within the city limits, or
I don't think there's any in the city limits.
Not within the city limits. I'm sorry. Within from the Milwaukee area.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So there will be ice at this point.
Yeah.
We hope it's at the McKinley Marina on the lakefront. If it's not, we'll get you connected. And other than that, that's all we know. Where there will be ice, classes, all that stuff. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just have some fun. It's going to be. Hopefully, it's part of the weekend, and we can have another thing to talk about, and another reason why people should come back next year.
We have a guest here, right? Evan Senn. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Evan Senn, what are you doing here? How'd you get here?
You guys told me to show up, so I did.
Yes, and you. I'm just gonna jump right in. Is that okay? Because I've got some questions that I legitimately am itching to ask you. You're from Wichita, Kansas.
That is correct.
Born and raised.
Born and raised.
And
city proper.
City proper, 30 minutes away, Augusta, Kansas. No one knows what that is.
Is that near Abilene?
No, but I know a great country song about Abilene. It's called Abilene.
So wait a minute. You were a little wishy-washy on that answer. Were you born in this? Were you living in the city of Wichita, or you were living in the suburbs there?
I lived in both throughout my upbringing, so Wichita and the outskirts. And then once I was 18, full-fledged Wichita until I was 37, and then I moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Why would you do that?
Exactly. Why would I do that?
Hold on to that, because I am really proud. I don't know if the word proud is the right word in this context. I'm so proud to introduce you to people that you're flowering here in the city. You moved to Milwaukee and you're flowering. Are you flowering?
I am flowering. I'm flowering right now, actually. I don't know if you could tell.
But hold on to that. Hold on to Milwaukee and your stamp of approval for our city. So let's go back to growing up in Wichita. Every guest we've ever had somehow got dirty fingernails along the way as a youth, a wayward youth. Were you a wayward youth that used dirty fingernails as a way to recalibrate your life?
Yeah, so I grew up. My dad is still a working freelance aviation photographer at the highest level.
Boring.
He shoots. Yeah, he removes the tail gunner position of a bomber and shoots planes from another plane. And so at a young age, I had access to film and cameras and some pretty high-end gear. And as a filmmaker, cinematographer, it's not all about the gear, but good gear doesn't hurt. Just like a motorcycle, just like anything
Just
else.
like a mic stand.
If you have good microphones like this, they help you out. So, and some people think I say this jokingly, but one of the things that really got me into filmmaking was the show Jackass. The thought of like get together with your buddies and just create stupid shit that makes you laugh, and that will make other people laugh as well. So I had this weird connection where I had some good gear. My buddies were in punk bands. I was in a punk band, and we had cameras. So there was just a lot of like filming each other doing dumb shit and music videos. And then once it got time to go to school, I wanted to go for creative writing, and someone did a career day, and a person showed up that was a documentary filmmaker, and that's when it just like hit for me. And I thought, I want to go to school to like learn how to work a video camera and tell stories through 24 frames a second. So that was a big switch for me.
So you went to school for video, for film?
Went to school for video, Wichita State University.
What was it? What's it?
Wichita State University, the Shockers. We have a weird.
Is this a school? Is this a school by mail? Is this a correspondence university?
This is in a back alley
of a bank.
We would do that. That was our.
And it was a football team.
If you want to get into that, so the Wichita State football team has been undefeated since the mid-'70s, but that's because they all died in a plane wreck. So there's a joke that it's undefeated since then, but no, unfortunately, the Wichita State football died in that plane wreck.
They never started back over?
Never
so
did.
The team
Never
had
did.
an issue or a crash? And
They just never started up after that crash.
Wow.
So if you want to talk football, you asked. But basketball, they're still doing just fine. They're doing aces.
It's a Division I school?
Well, I don't know what sports are.
Would they be in the NCAA tournament?
Sports.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know about ball sports.
Okay.
Motorcycle sports we could talk about.
Okay, well, we will.
So I went to school there, but they mostly taught you how to do news stories. So it's like I handed in one of my first projects that I was happy with, and I got some critiques that it was like, well, we don't have a shot of you in front of the establishment. We don't have a sign shot. They're like, this is a really good story. We're going to give you an A, but it's not fit for news. And I said, thank you very much. So I kind of went there and took more away as how to create a documentary than a news story. Graduated from there, immediately got into some video production gigs with companies, and then went freelance about 5 years later, and I've been freelance since then. So,
all right. So you gravitated then towards flat track, towards motorcycles. Here's how it happened. So I made money doing commercial work, and then I needed a creative output, so I started doing short documentaries on individuals. Now, it just so happened to be, and I'm still very proud of these short films. One's called Blind Guy. One's called Jazz Bo, the one-man band. One's called Ace, the gas station cowboy. Okay, so each one of these is a documentary?
It's a short documentary. It's pretty much 6 minutes each, 6 to 8 minutes, about these weird individual characters.
Where can I see these videos?
They're on my YouTube. Just type in Evan Senn on YouTube. You can find them. So really happy with these films. And then once I created these 3 films, I realized that each one of my films were about old white men. And I don't want to simplify it to that sense, but like once I looked upon the work that I had done, here's 3 beautiful individuals, but each film is about an old white man who's unique and different. But I truly thought I need to do something different that stands apart from these, because if I do another old white man documentary, that's just too much. And I'm boiling it down too much here, but I want to know, like, I want to bridge where this like jump happened. So I just on a piece of notebook paper, I just wrote down things that I wanted to go out of my comfort zone and explore, and one was motorcycles, and I knew nothing about motorcycles. My dad owned a motorcycle before I was born. And
Okay. You don't remember what kind?
it was an old Yamaha, I think. And even he had very little experience on it.
Sure.
And it was, street riding, going to work. And so motorcycles was one of my things. And then through the power of social media, as much as people can shit on it, like, I found this really cool group called Women's Moto Exhibit, and they were doing a ride in Portland, and I kind of compared it to asking, like, the hottest girl to prom. I thought, like, I want to ask them if they need content made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure 1,000 people have asked them, but maybe no one has. Mm-hmm. So I sent them a message and just said, like, hey, would you be open to helping, me helping you create content for this exhibit? And they 100% said yes. Now, also, I said I'd rent the camera. I'd do it all for free as long as they paid, like, pretty much housing and meals, and they did. And so I went there, and that was my first experience with motorcycles. And at one point, I wanted to hop on someone's bike and shoot some of the bikes as bike to bike. And someone asked me, have you been on a motorcycle before? And I lied, and I said yes. It was my first time on a motorcycle. God bless whoever let me on the back of their bike with a 20-pound camera in tow. And I got hooked. And so we shot for 3 days. It was a really cool experience. And then as soon as I got back, I signed up for a rider's course. Did that immediately. Graduated the motorcycle course, which was in a parking lot mall. It wasn't hard to do.
I've been there.
Just stay sober and,
Don't
answer.
fall over.
Yeah,
It is hard to do. I thought it to be very, very. Not everyone passed in my class.
Not everyone passed in my class either. So I passed and then bought a BMW R65 a few weeks later, and they got real hooked. And then it wasn't until I saw On Any Sunday, way too late in life, I think mandatory.
How did it come up in your nomenclature of life? I mean, how did it?
Basically, like, I'm a film nerd. I love film. I love documentaries. So I watched On Any Sunday, got real hooked on that, and then watched a film called Hitting the Apex about MotoGP. And then once I got into MotoGP, then it was over. And then a buddy of mine told me, hey, there's flat track races 15 miles away from Wichita, Kansas. And once I saw my first flat track race, that's when I knew, like, I need to make this my next film. So that was my way out of this old, this trilogy of, like, these things that I'm proud of, but it's like now I need a bridge into a larger scape.
Had you ever told anybody that story before?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, like, it's...
You told it really well.
Thank you.
He's a documentary filmmaker, bro.
Yeah.
You said...
Not here to waste time.
Storyteller.
You're not here to waste time. Real quick, you went to school for filming or for documenting, and they told you you learned some tricks. What's something that Warren and I should do to be... Is there any tricks that we could be doing to be interviewing better? You learned this in your school?
No, I think you guys are doing great.
Okay, well, thank you.
A compliment. Just a compliment.
Thank you.
So but you were racing flat track. Somehow something had happened where I saw you have flat track leathers, and you jumped in.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a gap there as well. So when I started this flat track documentary called Fast and Left, not to plug, but it's...
We're going to plug.
Okay. So I did this film called Fast and Left, and my initial thought was I'm going to shoot at my local racetrack for 6 nights. and I'm going to make an 8-minute film about 6 nights at this one racetrack, which would have been a cool film. I would like to see that film. But what happened with the flat track community, as you both know, once you get in, you're in.
It's a black hole.
So I showed up to 2 races, and to be honest, I was very ready for me to show up with, this 25-pound camera that's this big, and I expected people to say, like, who gave you permission to be here?
Yeah.
Are you going to pay us for this? You don't have permission to use my likeness. That's what I was expecting.
Sure, you should expect it.
The complete opposite happened. Hey, you're walking too far, park by me. You want to charge your batteries, park here. You want some beer? Oh, you have beer? You want to keep your beer cold? Put it in my cooler. You want to ride my bike? And at that point, that was 2017. At that point, I'm like, God, no, I don't want to ride your fucking bike. That story's going to change when we fast forward 4 years. So I'm at these races, and these guys couldn't be more supportive. With food, with water, with fucking pineapple in 100-degree heat, and you're sweating, and they want you to, like, hey, I got a trick. Mm-hmm. You get pineapple and pickles and a beer, you're going to be set.
Set from what? Set from the heat?
Yeah, you'll be properly hydrated for like 48 hours.
Yeah,
it's scientific. It's,
right. It's a salt
you don't know
that holds
this?
your salt in?
It's the salt
Redneck-
and the acid.
redneck-
It's all like it
redneck
all works
recipe.
out. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was drinking mustard.
Oh, ooh. Do tell.
Sure. Don't worry about it.
So I start like filming this thing, and it goes from 6 nights at my local racetrack to 2.5 years of kind of traveling the country. And I mean, going to my first AFT race and meeting Jeffrey Carver and Brad Baker and Sammy Halbert, and then going to more AFT races, and then traveling the whole Kansas circuit, and then going to Lima, which is where I first met Scott. And then Gary from Sideburn. So
Scott.
Scott Johnson. So these 6 nights in one track turned into 2.5 years across the country. And keep in mind, this was all funded by my credit card. I wasn't sponsored by anyone.
Sure.
And thankfully, I got permission to shoot with AFT. And one of the questions they asked me after kind of working hard to get into the fold was, I talked to someone who was very high up at AFT, and he said, "Are you making money on this?" And I laughed, and I said, "God, no." And he said, "Are you sponsored by anyone?" I said, "No." And he says, "All right, well, you have permission to shoot." So I mean, I applaud him for that. Like, if all of a sudden in my back pocket was Red Bull handing me, $80,000 a year to do this, well, yeah, they should get some of that money, or there should be but it was me losing money and paying off my own debt however I could to make this film. Mm-hmm. So I became obsessed. I mean, every film, every book, every magazine I read was flat track motorcycle racing. So I got really into the sport, did that for 2.5 years. And during that, these guys were asking me, like, hey, do you want to race my bike tonight? And I'm just like, fuck, no, I'm never going to race. I'm never going to race flat track. Like, that's no, but thank you. Mm-hmm. And then once I finished the film, then other things kind of started to come to fruition. That's how I met you guys, was Scott. I had met Scott in Lima in 2019, and Scott offered me a sponsorship position and to show the film in 2020.
Who was sponsoring who, by the way?
You guys were sponsoring me. You guys got me a hotel room. You guys gave me a merch booth. I gave you nothing, and I had prime real estate on the poster. So I got to thank.
Where was this?
That.
Where did you? Was this at a Mama Tried show?
Yeah, 2020.
Well, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, it didn't happen. And
Sorry
actually, serendipity, 13-hour drive from Kansas. 6.5 hours into the drive was when the news hit. Yeah. COVID, canceled, stopped. And so I called Scott, knowing, I'm like, hey, man, I know this day is very shitty for you. Do I have a hotel room or do I not have a hotel room? Mm-hmm. He says, you do. And I said, all right, I'm going to be there. So because it was the literal halfway point. I could have turned around, came here, still had a great time. Oh, God, yeah. Thank you guys. Like, it was a blast. And that's why I'm here now. So
you got pulled in by Milwaukee.
100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, even with a canceled event, the culture, the friendship, the camaraderie. I had a fucking blast, and I knew that I'd come to every Mama Tried Flat Out Friday event that I could, and it made it more simple to just move here after a few.
Did you have any inkling of wanting to leave Wichita at that point?
Yeah.
You were looking.
Yeah. So I had traveled a lot as a commercial cinematographer, and
Did you find any other spots that were like close second?
my close seconds were pretty much like, so love Portland, would never move there. Love Austin, I'd never move there. Love New York, I'd never move there. And so it was kind of these like,
Yeah, they're great places to visit. But
yeah,
you
so
don't want to
these
put roots
like,
down.
so I love dive bars, and I kind of see Milwaukee as a dive bar of
In Mecca?
It's our greatest
well,
natural resource.
not only it's, but I also see Milwaukee itself as a dive bar in a certain sense.
Sure.
Like it's got character, it's got no ego, it's got good food, it's got good drink, and it's got these things that you need to look a little harder to see, and not too hard. Like
Yeah,
it's not too
sure.
hard to see the beauty in Milwaukee at all. But you don't see it on tourism posters, and you don't see it as a mecca of travel and commerce. But I think it is, and maybe that's part of that's definitely part of the glamour of it. Like the more I came here and the more people I met, the more I knew. Just like this is the kind of place that I want to live in. So yeah, I had a few alternate choices, but once I came for I think 3 Mama Tries, and then I came here for a project with Harley Davidson, then I just knew like, all right, like this is it. And I'm going on my 1 year. Moved here February 1st.
No regrets?
Oh God, no.
Cool.
No.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I knew, I helped you move in because I had
Literally
and I had just
helped me
met you.
move in.
I just had heard that you were moving here, and I helped you move in. That's not the point of the story.
Jeremy helped me move my pinball machine in. You built the whole team that was there.
Well, I just heard you were moving, and I wanted to welcome you. But then,
River West.
February hit, and then the winter came, and I hadn't really checked up on you. Whenever I was doing something or going somewhere interesting, I would reach out. But for the most part, the point of my story is I saw you on social media. You posted, Milwaukee just hits different. You had posted this just randomly. What does that mean?
Didn't I just explain that? No, truly, like, I have people back in Kansas asking me, like, hey, when are you going to come back and visit? And my retort is, like, you got to come visit here.
Yeah.
Because I spent my whole life there, and I really tried to hype that city. I had a video campaign, like, on the tourism board to try to get people there, and everything I said, they shut down. We have a racetrack that no one knows about.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, hey, do you have any ideas to get people to Wichita? And I said, well, hey, like, talk about this racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
They shut that down, and then the next shooting site was the Andover YMCA. They have a cool slide. Like, are you fucking kidding me? You have a racetrack.
Here's, if I can say a little bit about geography. I feel that our human history is tied into the land and the weather we grew up with. And whenever I think of Wichita, I think it to be very, very dry. Does that make sense? Is there water there?
There's brown water there.
That's
Very
what I-
brown.
That's what I picture it to be. Let's go back to your movie real quick. Fast and Left came out, and it was released.
I think I saw it like 9 times that weekend at Boone.
There's that.
Oh, yeah, we did play it at Boone.
There's that. And
That was the first time I saw it. Was at Boone.
With no sound, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it just visually?
I was watching it.
I was with our team. That must have been Friday night. Or was it the day before the event got canceled? Remember that we were there at Boone? It doesn't matter. I think it was Friday night, the day Flat Out Friday was supposed to have happened, and the video was showing with no sound. And I was with my team, Joey, Melinda, my sister. I don't know if you know these people.
I do now.
But they don't know really anything about flat track or racing. And they were to tears over your movie.
Yeah, and that was the point. And like I'm I'm happy to hear that. And like that was the point, because I had people that really wanted me to get over technical and like talk too much about the sport. You know, those kind of people.
Sure.
And then other people who had never been to a race or didn't know, or their only thought was like motorcycles are dangerous. You know, so like my thought was really how to bridge the gap to bring diehards in and people who'd never been to a race before. Like, how can we bring all them in and just kind of ride this line that teeters left and right, and bring people in. So yeah, especially anytime I hear about someone who's never been to a race and they think like, I want to go now, like that was the whole point, because that's what brought me in. I'd never been to a race, and then my goal was to bring people to a race.
Not like Flat Out Friday and trying to get new people to experience flat track racing. What better way than to do it at Flat Out Friday?
Right. And if you see someone like, I mean, like there's a beauty in seeing someone like JJ just dominate the field, but if you don't know what you're looking at, it's a bit confusing. But then when you see kids doing it, or someone like Chuck doing it, like if you see all these people doing the same thing in different ways on different bikes, it starts to make sense. And the more you go to, the more it lights up. And then eventually, I think with most anyone, you think like, oh shit, can I get on one of those?
Yeah. That's our greatest, the greatest compliment people give us is when I saw your event, now I'm here to sign up.
Yeah. Yeah, build confidence is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And so I want to go back to your movie. You said that's what you were trying to do. I don't think you can tell a movie or document flat track without focusing on the community or the family, which is what you did in your movie, which is what made it tear-jerking for my team. You're focusing on the relationship between the kid and the parents, right? Mm-hmm. There was a kid and a mom and a dad that raced.
Yeah, the Jarrells.
Yeah. All right. Well, so your movie was met. So when you showed it to those people, and AFT saw it, what was how did it come out? How was the reviews?
It was pretty cool how it happened. So basically, I had no deadline because it was my film, my budget, my financing. So, and also my wormhole of a mind, like how, I thought about going for I thought about shooting for another year. And
what would you put in it?
Well, I could shit all over that film if we watched it again. Like
we all can. We're our worst critics.
Yeah, so there's gaps all over that film, but I knew I had to draw the line and stop. And my credit card also said you should stop.
What a hell of a credit card.
Yeah, well, I have great credit.
I
have no money. I still have great credit.
Okay, good work.
Let's make that known. I have no money, but I have great credit.
Oh, so, look out, ladies.
Yeah. So I looked at what I had and wondered if I had a film, just like any other artist. Like, I'm the shit, I'm the worst. I'm the shit, I'm the worst. And so Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival approached me. And once again, through the power of social media, like I had become connected with Mama Tried and Flat Out Friday and Sideburn and the One Show in Portland and all these other great, like Icon Motorsports, just all these great groups. And Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival asked me if I would submit the film for the 2019 festival. And the deadline was like 2 weeks away. I was like, fuck. You know what? Let's just pretend this is an imaginary deadline. Let me just create a film for them to maybe show, probably not. And so I rushed to get this film made to meet the submission date. Mm-hmm. Sent it late at night, fucking whiskey and coffee fueled, and went to bed. And then, woke up and just still started working on the movie. They already had their draft. I couldn't amend that, so I'm still working on the film. And then like a month later, I get this glowing review that they're like, we love the film. We want to show it. We're gonna premiere it in Toronto. Could you be there? And thankfully, I was able to go there.
Your credit card said yes?
Actually, a family member paid my bill there, which was my dad paid for me to go to Toronto because I was accepted, and I said, sorry, I can't make it. And my dad heard that I couldn't make it, so he paid my way there.
That's great.
So thanks, Dad.
Pinch
And I was able to basically like send him a new version. Hey, I know you like this one, but this one's better. Like literally better, not artistic, but like, hey, little more, sanded down. And I fucking won. I won Best Short at the Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival, which just was like unreal. No one had seen the film besides like me and my partner at the time. No one. And so to get like the validation of winning like the Toronto Motorcycle Film Festival. And then, so the next day I called my partner at the time.
So there was an award like with an envelope, and the winner is
yeah it was.
That's great.
And then so like I called my buddy and my partner at the time, and I said like, hey, let's fucking premiere this thing next month. Like, I'm gonna go to the Grindstone. And even when I won, there was missing scenes that are my favorite scenes in the film now. So like even that dog shit they watched, like it was so much better in my back pocket. So then the next week or next month, we premiered in my hometown, and that's when shit really started firing off, because that's how I met Chris from Garage Metallica. Chris just cold followed me one night, and he was like, hey, check this out. I woke up to like 200 followers the next day or something insane. And I'm like, who the fuck is this Chris guy? I look at his numbers, and they're like pretty staggering to me. And also, obviously, we know how amazing he is. And like just
Chris in Brazil.
Chris Miranda in Brazil, like
for Garage Metallica.
And then so Chris is like, "Hey, we want to premiere your film in Brazil. What do we need to do?" I said, "Just fucking show it. Like, I'll send you subtitles." I didn't send him subtitles, and what he ended up doing was, with headphones, he was listening to the film and live translating the film. And the same night, Gary from Sideburns showed it in Europe, and that was a fundraiser for Oliver Brindley, who had just gotten into a wreck. And the film showed in Japan and Germany and France and Greece and just all this crazy shit, which like from small town Kansas, it was like crazy. This was supposed to be a 6-minute film about my home track. So it was a trip. And so that just shows, God, not only how cool the flat track community is, but how it goes global in no time. And you guys know that based on like how much you
put some soul into something, or effort,
yeah.
And some, like, you're honest and forthright. Like, you had no idea what motorcycles were. You were a fresh guy walking in with fresh eyes, and had the ability to put that down into film, which is a beautiful thing, you know. So like that stuff doesn't happen that often, right? Like for some reason you ended up in flat track. For what reasons we don't know, but you know, we got a rad movie to talk about and watch, and you know, it's pretty cool that happened. Yeah. You know?
What do you think are the residuals from making a movie? You know what I mean? What do you think your mark on this earth has been from making a movie that has global residuals?
Financially,
okay.
Nil. But I know you're not asking financially.
No, I'm
so
not.
I want to start. I know what you're asking. Well, so I mean, without making that film, I wouldn't be here right now. That's obvious.
Well, no, I get it. Your personal, what this film has done for you, and the cachet it's given for you. But what do you think it did to someone in Japan, a kid that saw that movie?
So like, that film was finished and done in 2019, and I'll still get videos of someone in Japan or France or Greece or Brazil with a small laptop or TV, or Kansas still to this day, like watching that film on race day, and whether the racer is 75 or 7, they're watching this film to get amped up on race day, and like that's a fucking trip.
Yeah,
that's a trip. Because like me, I haven't watched that film in 6 months. You know, like it takes a lot for me to watch that again. But then other people, like shit, one of the guys in the film, his name's KK. His wife is waiting for the fucking DVD to be so scratched that like he can't watch it anymore because she hears it so much. And when he comes on, he turns it up. He wants to see his part, and rightfully so. He's charismatic and cool as hell. But yeah, the fact that like it still means a lot to a lot of people, and I did a short run of DVDs to like fulfill the DVD generation, and those are long gone. And I still get emails like, "Hey, where can I get a DVD?" I'm like, "Oh, fuck, good luck, man. Like, I don't like go to YouTube. Well, I don't really have YouTube. Yeah.
Can you watch it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's for free on YouTube now.
Okay.
You can rent it on Amazon, but don't waste your money. Just watch it for free on YouTube.
Because film, music are odd mediums in that they have such a what's the half-life, if you will. You go bright and then they burn out, and then maybe it's not culturally relevant. But I think Fast and Left remains culturally relevant. That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I would hope so. I tried to make it without any. Listen, I never followed someone's specific season. I never got too much into dates. Well, in fact, like there's no supers in the film, and by supers I mean like it never says Wichita, Kansas, Lima, Ohio. It's just it's anywhere
you
USA.
What you want it.
It could be any year unless you get hyper specific and start looking at like the Indians at the AFT. Like otherwise, it's no one knows when and where this is shot. So, and that was part of the point. Like I didn't want it to ever be, because one of my first turnoffs was doing something like On Any Sunday, which is the greatest motorcycle movie ever made, but that's very specific as to like this is 1970. Mert Lawwell is on the XR 750 Generation 1. Like it's very set in a year, and they follow every race, and there's 8 cameras at every race, and I had one fucking camera and could go to one race. Not only one race, but one turn at a time. Mm-hmm. And if I want to go to another turn on a half mile, it's going to take me 18 minutes. Yeah. So I had to be very specific and pretty much vague as to like how this was being done. It was more of a sense of racing as opposed to a documentation of a season.
I really appreciate you articulating that vision that you had. It's well received now that you articulate it with myself. Well, thanks for sharing your Fast and Left creation with us here today, and then, of course, with the world.
Let's talk about Brazil in the airport.
You saw what in the Brazil?
yeah, we can talk about that.
Let's talk about Brazil in the airport.
Go for that.
That was like the first time I met you.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm sorry.
Wait, so it wasn't the first time you met was not in the airport in
The first
Brazil.
time I met
it was
you.
in the airport in Milwaukee.
The first time I met you, well, and I didn't know who you were yet, but you were wearing a Stetson Open Road, which I also own.
The fucking Iron Horse, the elevator.
You remember that?
Yep, I do. You told me that Dwight D. Eisenhower.
I was like, that's the fucking Eisenhower.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
Were you on mushrooms?
What's the Eisenhower?
Because you looked at me in a very unfriendly way. No, you didn't really.
What does that mean, the Eisenhower?
It's the Stetson Open Road, which usually comes with a brim, as we would know from who's the cop from Smokey and the Bandit? What's his fucking name?
The actual actor?
Yeah.
The old comic?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fred Flintstone's after him. The guy from To the Moon. I'll punch you to the moon.
Jackie Gleason. So his is folded up. Eisenhower had the flat dish. So it's flat but a dish. Warren and I both have a Stetson Open Road with the flat dish. So I told
the
Warren,
coolest fucking hat on the
it's
planet.
the fucking best. I was almost going to wear it today, but I thought you would wear it today.
Should've.
We should have both worn
Get too
it.
dirty here. It's actually at the shop getting cleaned from a Mama Tried party 4 years ago. So hopefully that
What's
worked.
on it?
Beer.
So that was my first time meeting you, but I had no fucking clue who you were. But yeah,
I remember
unfortunately, your first time meeting me was a bottle of whiskey deep in the Chicago airport.
The best was when you had your whole wallet spread out on the ticket counter. I'm like, holy shit, look at this guy. He's ready to go.
I asked you, had you been drinking? And you're like, no. And then I was like, oh my God, because we're all
about to get on a plane for how long?
Well, it wasn't that we're about to get on a plane, so we're about to travel internationally in COVID times. That's what made it, because there's so many checkpoints, and you got to have your paperwork in order, and yours was, you're like, where's my
About 18
COVID
pockets.
shot?
And I
I
had.
thought it was awesome, man. Like, and
It was
it's
great.
like,
Dougie, respect to Dougie. He saved my life.
yeah, and that's what we're about, right? Like, the team. It takes a team, and there needs to be all kinds of different, attitudes or styles or however you want to call it. And I appreciate that, man. And like, that you got to maybe pull a title away from me, and I,
As
thank
being
you
the
for
dead
that.
weight?
As going deep in the paint.
Oh, deep in the paint.
I think,
right.
yeah, I had a streak going on there, and I think you
You win the
dethroned
Deep
me.
in the Paint award?
It hasn't been presented yet.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you.
good.
Also,
have
I had my
goals.
birthday in Brazil, and that was another properly sauced night.
That's why you're sauce, because you had
But-
it was your birthday party or something.
But
Right?
I also I blame a lot of people.
Yeah, it's not your fault.
No, it wasn't my fault.
How could
there
this
was
be your
there
fault?
was there was a
Never.
party, and then there was an after party, and then in Brazil I learned. So I like a beer, and I like a shot of whiskey or just a whiskey neat, and I learned that whiskey neat was called whiskey cowboy, and by that they mean about 6 fucking fingers of whiskey. And so at Chris's shop, I was having Heineken's and Jack Daniel's Cowboy, about that deep.
Right, you gotta like barely.
And I thought
grab
that was it.
You
And
have
it
to
was
be very
also my
gentle.
fucking birthday. And then after I'm just smiling and doing this, then it's like, hey, let's go to the after party. I'm like, fuck. And then as soon as I get down there, Logan buys me a shot, Scott buys me a drink, and then Chris buys me a fucking Long Island iced tea. Who drinks Long Island iced teas?
Yeah.
And then
Did you drink it?
I Irish goodbye after like sipping all those things, which to the kids out there, never Irish goodbye in Brazil.
Was that bad?
Well, it
Tell
worked
me
out
that.
fine for me
Well, why? Yeah, why should you never do that?
because it's Brazil and you should have some friends looking after you. Because about 3 days later, we almost got kidnapped, I think, and we were in a group of 4. So you can Irish goodbye in Milwaukee, but let's not do that in Brazil. Just tell one person.
Yeah, going solo.
Oh, because so everybody was like, "Where's that?"
I just left.
Yeah, so no one knew who you
that's,
were.
That's one of
And
my
you're not
pro
answering
moves.
your
I just
phone.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah, I do
I'll
that
find
too,
my
though.
way
I-
home.
I've just had
But
enough.
in Brazil, let's not do that.
Okay. Okay. We're all gonna tell our travel buddy.
Yeah, travel
That's
with a buddy at least.
That's what we're gonna do. Tell me a little bit more about Brazil. We shared this experience together, the 3 of us. What'd you see in Brazil? What's the motorcycle community down there?
Oh, it's fucking beautiful, and like I said, so my first meeting with digitally meeting Chris was online, and he fell in love with the film, and this fucking guy got Fast and Left tattooed on his neck before we'd even met, which is insane. And then he got like a logo that I had done on his back, and once again, like we'd never met. And then I met him for the first time in Fuel Cafe 2020. And they were fucking smashed.
That's weird.
I tried to talk to Chris, and then Polenta stiff-armed me, and he was like, no, he's busy, man. He don't know you. I was like, no, Evan Fast and Left. He's like, he don't know you. The next morning at brunch, Chris and Polenta see me right away, and they're like, oh, you're the guy. I'm like, yeah, I fucking tried to talk to you guys last night, you assholes. Keep in mind, I just got off a 13-hour drive, sober as fuck, and they were,
Yeah.
they probably had like
Had we
a beer or
because
two.
we had already announced we're canceled. And
Correct.
So he'd went off the deep end. Yeah.
So they were on one, and then like the next day, I mean, best friends, and we hung out that whole weekend, and then the connections were made with you guys and all that stuff. So thankfully, you guys allowed me the opportunity to go to Brazil with you, and it was fucking gorgeous. I mean, a week on the beach, a week in the city. I remember being in tears, in the infield after the race, of just like seeing the magic happen there, and Gega had like asked me, he was like, "How was the race?" And I wanted to phrase this properly, but I was like, I don't want to say this like in an ill way, but like this feels like a North American flat track race. Like, and he took that, as I meant it, as a very positive. Like, North America is where flat track started, and that's what they all emulate and watch.
Not because of the actions, because of the family and the camaraderie
and the family and the style. Like, I mean, it's they all love, Scotty Parker and Jay Springsteen and Jeffrey Carver. And Harley Davidson. There's this tangible American style to it, North American style to it that no one shies away from. They emulate, and that felt like a flat out Friday event. And it was, and it wasn't in the sense of like you didn't have your hand in it.
I thought I did.
I
thought I was in months of planning, and then I got there and they didn't need me.
So you would agree, right? Like they kind of had all that stuff.
Yeah. That's the point, right? Like our whole deal with this international thing is not to go there and replicate what we have going on, right? Like we want to experience different people, different attitudes, different ways of life. So like I'm going to add an influence, but I don't want to see the same shit.
We're looking at what we do through their eyes, which is letting go, and it's neat to see what you get back.
Absolutely.
When you put art into the echo chamber, or
their interpretation of what we have going on.
You put art into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And they had a great, and there was bold statement, maybe even more of a family aspect. Remember when everybody got on stage, we took one big giant group picture?
Yeah.
That was really powerful.
Well, there was way more hang around at the end. In the States, everybody's like,
out. I want my trophy.
Done.
I gotta go.
Nobody hangs around and like, oh, that was great, blah, blah, blah. And that was a much more special part about that event. I pulled out completely. Like I was wandering around in the crowd drinking beers and whatever the local Brazilian drinks were, and just kind of hanging out with folks, and got to spend it in the crowd rather than out there working and trying to figure out those side of things. So it was awesome watching and seeing, and pretty honored to be able to do that kind of stuff. And continue to do it. We have an event coming up that isn't quite official, but in April we're going to be doing it again. Hopefully you can join us.
My birthday.
Pew, pew, pew.
I'll drink.
When's your birthday?
April Fool's Day.
Ooh, that's my cousin's birthday too.
I'll drink less on the way to the airport.
No,
why?
I expect nothing.
Oh, you only drink as much?
It's good to have goals.
I wish that I can drink on airplanes, man. That's probably. I just can't do it.
I got a couple odds and ends here in my notes. You said you love dive bars. You're helping us distribute these coasters.
Yeah.
Anything interesting happen to you in the dive bars here in the city, handing these coasters out?
Let's see. So we've done a few. What would you call those? Like a quick binge tour? Not binge drinking, but it's. We did how many West Dallas bars in one night?
We did 30.
Yeah, so 30, and a lot of people
How many beers out of? Did somebody have 30 beers?
No. So 30 bars, we probably had 6 beers.
Huh.
So one of the first bars I went into, I ran into, and I was waiting for the bartender's attention. Like, miss, would you mind? I just wanted to hand her 50.
Yeah.
And I get a text from Jeremy. I'd been in there a minute. Jeremy's like, "Where are you? Let's go." So it was a wham bam, let's go kind of thing. So it wasn't a pub crawl until I think pretty much the tip of the hat, like, hey, this place is aces. We got to go in.
Because you were going in and checking things out, and then you come.
Yeah.
Then you let people you got to come into this one.
Yeah. Some were so shitty. It's like, fuck this place, but they got 80 coasters now, and some were like, all right, we need a quick
Yeah.
There's been some pretty fun.
We've got 30 more left.
30 more.
There's only 90 bars in West Dallas.
Stacks? What do you mean?
No, there's a lot more than 30. No, we have 90. I have 90 packs left.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry, 30 packs left.
A pack is that?
Well, 30. I have 50
packs.
15 packs.
15 packs.
Yes.
A pack is this.
Yes.
I have 3 in my car.
There's 3 in my shop.
And I'm going to Uptowner, Vegas, Bremen, High Dive. Have you done High Dive yet?
I have not done High Dive, but I live next door. So
I'm going to do it first.
Okay, we're going to see.
But it's been fun, and it's cool. Like, you go into some of these bars, and
Whether you've driven past
if
150
you're,
times.
oh god,
and-
yeah. And I mean, shit, we went to West Dallas, and you could park your car and walk to 5 bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Easily.
Yeah. And then also, like, the reception has been really cool. One, free coasters. Wow, nice. We used to have to pay for these. And then other people have, like, oh, I've heard of this, or I ride. I mean, every other guy has a Harley shirt here.
Yeah.
Whether
That's
they
how we hit the
ride or
bars.
not. But then, like, they hear about this. So, like, the reception's been really cool. And, you know, I work at a couple local bars, and to, like, just be able to talk about it and go, like, here, take this home. Here's the date. Here's the place. Oh, you're busy Friday? Look at what's going on Saturday, Sunday. So, like, there couldn't be a better form of advertisement in the state of Milwaukee.
What are these
or
bars
the
you-
state
you,
of Wisconsin and
Where are you working?
Fuel Cafe and Hosed on Brady. But stay away.
I can't say that I've been to Host.
Oh, you should come to Hosed. What are you doing tonight?
Tonight I have to go be a dad.
Okay.
Surprised I haven't gotten a call. In fact,
You
I've gotten
can't
about
go
8
to
calls.
Hosed and be a dad on the same night.
How do you work? Do you do weekends?
Yeah.
All right, I'll make it down.
All right.
Can we hit this this weekend? Can we do some more? You work this weekend?
I think I'm free this week.
I'm going to hit Greenfield.
I don't know where that is. I'm new here.
You don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Be my guy.
I will drive. I'll stay sober, and you run in and you do your bit. I am sorry that I tried to micromanage your love and style for dive bars and the way you were doing things. You can have easily 3 minutes in a bar now.
I like that. That's plenty enough time for me.
I will easily. I texted you because I thought you were walking table to table. I thought you were
God,
actually
no.
like talking to
think I'm a
every
nerd?
customer, and I was like, dude, we can't hit 30 bars at this rate.
There was one bar I went to, and someone just won Shake of the Day, and that's why the bartenders were preoccupied.
They were
You
counting
guys,
the money.
you guys know about Shake of the Day.
We know about it. Hey, Evan, I was mentioned earlier you moved to Milwaukee, and I want you to know that your Christmas card was sent back to me. So, is that not your address?
No, 2469.
No.
This is 2472.
What's your address? They couldn't. The mailman couldn't figure that out. Your neighbor.
Oh God!
It looks like
Listen.
29.
Listen, on my card it says my address says upper unit. You know how much mail gets delivered to the lower unit, and the exact opposite. So,
Okay, well, there's Merry Christmas.
all right, what's in here?
Nothing, just a picture of me and my family in Brazil.
Where is it? On the beach or Joe's?
It's at the Mama Tried show.
Wonderful.
Did I take the photo?
I think Chris took this photo. See?
Oh,
There we are. The
isn't that-
Brox.
isn't that
look at that
cute?
family.
Happy holidays. So I'm sorry it got mailed back. I looked up your address
That's
on
okay.
Google Maps, and it didn't work out.
Are we going to talk about the Banana Splits?
What does that mean?
Banana Splits is a bowling team that bowls somewhere in the city of Milwaukee. And Jeremy is, well, actually, Merritt is the ringleader.
Well, so if you want to talk about the banana splits, we do have a bowling thing. And here's the philosophy of bowling, and this may be offensive to some people. Whether I'm
bold
organizing
statement.
a motorcycle event or bowling, the core values are ultimately the same. What are the core values?
Don't be an asshole.
Okay. That's actually not one of the written rules. But
Try to get better.
okay, that's something that would be flat out Friday appropriate, right? Or actually, don't be an asshole. I'm sure I said that at Flat Out Friday.
Absolutely. Your
Yeah.
shit don't stink.
Share your mushrooms.
Okay. Okay. Yes, check.
Buy your friends around. What am I missing?
I don't know, nothing. I had no answer to the question I asked you. I guess the point is that it's the parallels,
Sure.
baby.
Well, I
It's the
like. Well,
quote.
actually, so
Sasha's.
so like one thing I do have to be careful, and I mean maybe this reflects on when something does get too big. Like I've wanted to invite friends to join us in bowling, but we are limited in space. And I also have, and you'll appreciate this, I've had people like, well, I can't bowl. And I just laugh. It's like, you fucking think we can bowl? That's not the point.
But again,
It's-
listening to you
it's-
talk about the bowling is the same thing that's Flat Out Friday.
Exactly. So, and I didn't circle back on this, but like, yeah, I had guys wanting me to race motorcycles as I was filming Fast and Left, and I just laughed, like, you're fucking crazy. I'll never do that. And then now, like, I have raced. Like, I've raced my Sunday, and I've raced at Bull Taco, and I signed up to race Flat Out Friday. I don't think I will. We could talk about that later. Because I just don't want to be split 50-50 on, like, doing photos and racing. If I'm not doing something 100%, I don't want to do it. So
I have a new philosophy, really, with labor, with running the labor. And I do not want anybody working that is racing.
yeah. So do I still get a number plate?
What class are you in?
Vintage.
No, there's no number plates for vintage.
Okay, fuck it. So I'm not going to race, but I am going to photograph. Like, because, yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to be dependent on someone to do something for me and then also splitting my mind between two things and not going 100% on something. So, but back to bowling, like, I've had people, like, not want to join because they're not good. It's like, well, no.
Join?
Who said we're not, like, who
try.
said we are good?
Try.
Yeah, like, yeah. So, yeah, I think, like, the community, and, if you think you can do it, try it. And, like, no one's, yeah, there's definitely, like, an upper echelon of talent that you may not ever reach, but, like, if you give it a try, like,
Well,
it's
there's a billion subcultures in our world. Have you ever seen the documentary on the Carpet? It's a documentary of professional remote control car racers, and people are really into that. But my point is, whether it's getting into choppers or flat track, and Warren, you've never held your nose up to me, or I've never seen you hold your nose up to anybody that's getting involved or asking questions about choppers.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
really
that's
comfortable
not. I don't.
here asking about motorcycles.
Yeah, I don't. I hope that I can put that off. I hope that I'm not fucking. Hopefully I don't go that route. I used to when I was younger, I believe, but I think I've grown and
Yeah.
realize it.
Whether it's bowling or motorcycle racing or bicycle racing, or I have a hockey league. My point is, I don't ever want to create a what's the word I'm looking for?
A barrier,
Just a snooty. What's the better?
Sure.
What's the word? Arrogant about
snob.
getting, like, come on. And I'm making a bold statement. That's like kind of what the whole idea of, like, who wants to party. It's an inclusive slogan. And whatever you think partying is, come on. We encourage you to let your flag fly and let's party. You have the support of us to party. But by the way, I want to go a little further on that. Some people assume that means chug a pint of vodka.
And it is true.
Well,
if you think that's what partying is, that's what partying is.
Partying is. But if you also think that partying is dancing, or you think that partying is laughing, being yourself is what I feel that the slogan means. I don't like to see it misconstrued as just getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Did we talk? Is that too much philosophy for this?
No, I mean, parting philosophy. Can those be interchanged? I mean, like, for me, even like with our bowling, listen, I don't take Fridays off. I don't take Saturdays off. I don't take Sundays off, but I do take Wednesday nights off because that's when we bowl. I mean that truly. Like, it's a time. It's not a time for me to get it fucked up, but it's a time for, like, all right. And I'm still like, goddamn, I'm kind of the worst on the team. I'm trying to get better. I'm the only.
Did you ever find your bowling ball?
No, my bowling ball's lost. If anyone has seen a blue bowling ball that says Wichita, please call me at 316-666-666.
All right. Well, I'm really flattered. I don't know if that's the right word, or proud that you're stoked on not only Milwaukee but the bowling. Here's a pen that I brought you to, by the way. Do you know what that pen is? I just happen to have that pen, and we have to wrap this up.
Do I have to take this?
Do you know what it's from?
George V.
What does that mean?
I know where that's from.
I don't know what this is.
You have no idea what that means.
What, was I there in Brazil?
You were there. Yes, that's the hotel.
What did I do there?
It's a hotel we stayed in. You did many things
there. Oh,
there.
George V. Yeah. I remember that
Well,
place.
we had a great time in Brazil. I'm glad to share it with you. Thank you for sharing your story about that. And also, you have a new cover stories. What's the word you cover?
Yeah, I got the cover of
name?
Sideburn and a feature on Jeffrey Carver. Happy birthday, Jeffrey Carver.
Oh, happy
And
birthday to
you
the
took this
winner.
photo. You were with us here at the AFT event here in Wisconsin, and it's
Yeah.
great to see that again. I'm bringing this full circle via Wichita. Wisconsin is on the cover of Sideburn magazine this month.
Yeah, go watch Fast and Left on YouTube. That's where I'm headed with the boys tonight.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe, buy our fucking tickets.
Yeah, buy tickets. Buy tickets for your friends.
I want to say this. I'm going to
Also,
make.
this motorcycle you could.
Oh, there's a raffle.
There's a raffle.
Yeah, if you want to see the bike, it's an Iron Horse. You go fondle it, and stare at it.
I don't think you can touch it.
You can.
I do want to say about Flat Out Friday tickets. We are on route. We are not sold out yet, but we are on route to sell out unless we open up the top balcony, which is another set of negotiations.
Yeah, it's negotiated. It's a possibility.
Okay.
If we get there, they'll do it.
Well, bold statement. If you're like, I'm going to buy tickets the day of, you are looking at potentially sitting in the upper levels where the carbon monoxide is a bit more potent. So we'd appreciate if you bought them in advance, just so we can know you're coming. So thanks a lot, Evan. I'm clapping for you. I'm clapping for you.
I'll clap for
I'm
you.
clapping for Warren. I'm clapping for.
There's always
for
a
Brian.
clap with Jeremy.
I'm clapping for Geared Science. I just feel like clapping sometimes. It's my favorite.
Sometimes.
So thanks.